Hi everybody, welcome to week 10 of the Mindful Words Challenge. This week's word is optimism. And optimism is a way of seeing life hopeful of the very best and expecting success and well-being. So for this week, continue to do your brain train practice. We're going to talk a little bit about what optimism means. And so I thought it might be fun if I asked my whole family to come on in and join this discussion. Okay, so this is my family. You've met Ari and Tobias, but this is my husband Enrique. And so I thought that it might be kind of interesting, since last week we talked about perspectives, to see what everybody's perspective was on this glass. Basically, I have a glass here, and it's full of water to the halfway mark. So my question is this glass half full, or is it half empty?
I think it's half full, and I think it's half empty.
What do you think?
I think it's both. I think it's half full and half empty.
All right. You can see there are several different perspectives. Now, what is an interesting thing about mindfulness and using optimism is that our brains are naturally pretty negative. We tend to have about 80% of our thoughts are negative and about 95% of our thoughts repeat. So when we have a practice of mindfulness, what we can do is we can choose to be more optimistic in our thoughts. We also have a negativity bias in our brain, and that has helped us to survive. But we don't really need to be negative anymore. And as we know, and maybe as you guys can share, sometimes when we get into that mode of stinky thinking, or we have a negative way of looking at things, it can make us feel pretty bad. You guys ever experienced that before?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So through mindfulness, we can choose to be optimistic. We can choose to believe that life is hopeful, and that we will be successful, and that we can have well-being. What I also want to mention is that this glass, it's half full, it's half empty, it's half full of water, it's half full of air, it's half empty of water, it's half empty of air. But the thing that I want us to remember, and that our practice can help us to remember, is that our glass is always refillable. So, somebody said they were thirsty. When you drink your water, you can be mindful about it. Use the sensation of feeling to hold the glass. Taste the water. Be grateful that you have clean water to drink.
And then we can refill the cup.
Now, as you can see, what is the glass now? Half empty or half full?
It's mostly empty.
It's mostly empty of water. So we're gonna refill it, and that's what our mindfulness practice does. It helps us to stop, pause, and refill.
Yay! And now our glass is 100% full. Well, more like 99.9%.
We're gonna play a little mindful game that you can play at home with your kids or in your classroom with your students that requires mindful attention. This is a game called Pass the Water.
Pass the
cup. And it was created by Susan Kaiser Greenland. She also is the author of Mindful Games, which I highly, highly recommend if you want to continue to further your mindfulness practice and you want more games to play with your students or your children. That is a great resource. So we're gonna play it. So we have this same glass, and we're gonna pass it to one another without any water spilling. Okay. We're gonna be really, really quiet. Okay, so I'm gonna take a deep breath in. I'm gonna exhale and pass. Oh. Okay. Breathe in and exhale out. Breathe in, exhale out. Do it again. Breathe in, exhale out. Bless you.
Thank you.
Breathe in. see what happens when we do it really, really fast and we're not very
I'm
mindful.
scared. Bye. It's right next to me. Can I switch boxes? I'm scared.
As you can see, it's when you're mindful, it's easier to keep the water in the glass.
You only spilled it.
But if you're not mindful, this is what happens. Ready? So,
Oh, man. Oh, we're gonna get friends.
Ari, keep her
Okay,
asleep.
so,
so as you can see, when you're mindful, it's easier to not make a mess of your life. And when you're not mindful, you do make a mess. So if you decide to do the fast version and get wet, then make sure you have a towel or you're outside. If you're not mindful, you can make messes. You can upset people. And you can leave a lot for other people to clean up. But if you're mindful, then you can pass your cup. Anyway, I hope you have fun with this. You can also try it blindfolded. You can go outside if you decide to get wet, but have a towel in mind if you decide to do it really fast first and then do it slowly afterwards, or vice versa. So, this week's word is optimism. Optimism, as we said before, is a way of seeing life hopeful of the very best and expecting success and well-being. So we wish you a very optimistic week, and we hope that optimism will be your teacher for the week and through your mindfulness practice. Bye.
optimistic week.